Welcome to Gene and Mike do the New York Times crossword. Gene is off tonight, so I am doing solo duty for Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. This crossword was by Jason Reich. It is his second. He did one for the New York Times in 2022, and he is back 3 years later with another great crossword. The theme was a little bit on the complex side. It involved actually two clues. One in the very top left, one across library acquisition was book, and 71 across was after one across, that is to say after book, shelf accessories, or what can be placed around the halves of four other answers to make new phrases, and the answer is ends. So basically what it amounts to is there are four two-word answers in the grid, and you can put book before the first word or book after the second word of each answer, and you still get something that is book-related. For instance, 18 across, reason to buy a magazine perhaps, cover story. And you can put book before cover to get book cover, and you can put book after story to get storybook. You can do the same in three other places. 36 across, last stop before security often was bag check. And of course, you can have a book bag. And you can also have a checkbook. Then we had 45 across, turnabout, they say, fair play. And of course, there is such a thing as a book fair. And playbook. Finally, we have, let's see here. The very last clue was 62 across. That was a great clue, by the way. The IBM Simon Personal Communicator is considered the world's first one, smartphone. And you could have Book Smart, and you could also have Phone Book. So, cute theme for Tuesday. I want to come back to the IBM Simon Personal Communicator. Never heard of it. I really need to check that out. And once again, IBM had apparently at some point been in the lead and maybe squandered that lead, but that's just the way it goes. We had, unsurprisingly, many interesting clues in today's grid. We had one down, Genesis or yes, and that was banned. And depending upon what generation you are, you either found that clue to be inscrutable, impossible, or obvious. In addition to one down, we also had six down. Genre for Genesis or yes, informally, PROGROCK, which I guess is short for progressive rock. And Genesis, certainly the early Genesis, and yes are great examples of that. We had 10 down. Let's see here. 10 down was approx, and I went for ish, but had to backtrack. It turned out it was est. We had a mysterious 15 across, homie, and that was brah, B-R-A-H, and that was not a debut, much to my surprise. In fact, it has appeared a total of 6 times. We had another great clue at 11 down, easily found on the internet, say, Googleable, and I guess that's a word. And based on all the amazing changes happening as a result of AI, I just wonder how long that word is going to stay in popular use. If in fact it is in popular use, how many of you have used the word Googleable? Let us know, crosswordpodcast@icloud.com. We had 26 across. That was name on a prestigious award, Nobel, of course. And that ran into a word that I had a little trouble with. 8 down, glossy finishes with sheens. I went for sateen to start, but that didn't get me anywhere. We also had 27 down, Mike in Breaking Bad, for example, ex-cop. And I'm willing to bet that Gene knew that. I certainly did not, and had to figure it out through the crosses. We had 13 down, and that was a Grammy-winning R&B artist whose stage name is said to have been inspired by The Matrix, Neo, and it's of course one word in the grid, N-E-Y-O, but it's actually hyphenated as N-E-Y-O. Started to listen to that music and thought, this is the greatest music I've ever heard in my life. And once again, I thank the editors of the New York Times and the author, of course, Jason, for having brought this to my attention. So listeners, if you get a chance, check out Neo. Really, really amazing stuff. 29 down was procrastinator's mantra, and I thought it was going to be I'll wait, but it turned out to be later, which had several advantages, one being that it was correct, and a second being that it actually fit into the grid. I'll wait would have required a 2-letter rebus, which is, of course, unheard of. We had 30 down. What someone seeking validation might need, ego massage. And that, in fact, was a debut answer in today's grid. We had 35 down. I thought this was sort of cute. Take it easy. And the answer was see ya, which, of course, is what you might say in informal conversation as you were departing. 40 across was groundbreaking 1988 Japanese animated action film, Akira. And I think that was from the person who made Akira also made Hidden Fortress, if I recall correctly. I think that was a clue from not too long ago. 59 down, show extreme fandom for in slang was stan. I did not realize that had become a verb. I only recently learned that, in fact, it was a noun. We had 66 across, aw shucks, and the answer was OG, which is sort of cute. And we had 69 across, that was Lord's Lands, and that sounds like some quaint southern expression, Lord's Lands. In fact, it was fiefs. That is it for today, then. We've got some great listener mail, but we are going to wait until Jean is back to discuss that. And we will hopefully, as a team, be back again with our cutting-edge analysis of tomorrow's crossword tomorrow.